Guys, say hi.
Hi.
Wait. I'm walking in. Hey guys.
What's
up?
Welcome back to another episode of The Dip. We have
Johnny
And Ty.
these two new members of our organization. Yes, woot woot, woot woot. Yes, yes. We are here today to talk about racial slurs and derogatory language. What's next? Sorry. Cut. Don't put that in. Cut that. Thank you.
Well, hi.
What's next?
What do you mean what's next?
Sorry. Do I just go into the questions?
Yeah?
Can I?
Can you
Is that
what?
okay?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. And action! Okay, so our first question today is, what impact does racist and, I'm gonna do that again. What impact does racist and dehumanizing language have on those who are targeted by it? Do you want to start us off by answering this question, Johnny?
I can, yeah, it sucks. I actually have a personal experience that happened today, actually, while I was in the caf. I was getting waffles, as you do, and I had a pair of lovely young women behind me. I don't know what, I guess I live in like a little bubble and I think everyone's nice, and then I go out to the real world and no one's nice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got real fast.
And so they are behind me, and I'm just hearing them, because I'm hard of hearing, so I can't hear super well, so I kind of turn my head a little bit, and they're like, what is this? Big back, bad word, F slur, getting 2 waffles. And I was like, oh. And I didn't know what to do or say, because I didn't want to like talk to them,
Right.
obviously, because I was scared. And then their like scary boyfriends were near them, and I was like, I don't want to get attacked. So
Right.
I just let it go. But it just sucks, because I'm like, I was just getting waffles.
Right.
You don't know who I am.
Right.
Why are you? Don't do
You
that.
can't do anything about it.
Yeah, because it's like, what am I gonna do?
Right. Like,
Tell them to stop?
Right, like, literally, like-
yeah.
like-
Stop that. Like, they're just gonna probably call me another slur.
Right, exactly.
Which,
like,
I guess it's a part of it is also just kind of like where we live in this part of the country, where it's just very like common for that to just be a thing. Because like I have like my cousin goes to school in Boston. They're like, I never experienced that ever. And I'm like, that's awesome. I wish it was like that everywhere.
no, like, and I totally get that. And I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I was
sorry.
just frightened.
No, and it sucks because like you can't do anything about it, and like because like we're on top like this topic, like, and it reminds me of my story, and it just like being black and like being like discriminated against and like being like, I guess I feel like as though I always have a target on my back, and so like no matter how it's said, no matter it being said, no matter like a stare or a look, I feel as if like I will always be targeted, and it just hurts because I can never feel like I'm a normal person. I can never feel like I can like go roam the world free as a person of color and a queer person of color as well. And so, like I just constantly feel targeted. Do you have anything to add to it?
I think going back to the question, what it does is, like the question says, it's dehumanizing. It just reduces people down to stereotypes that are just not applicable and to what we are as people, and just tears people down when there's really no reason to do it.
Right.
Yeah, and I think like another thing that's always just kind of been like interesting to me as like being a queer person is talking to people who are homophobic or transphobic and just seeing just how fundamentally they don't see us as people. And like for instance, the other day I'm in student government, so we were helping with voting, and I was sitting and I was talking to a friend, and I recently had to get some of my testosterone levels checked, and they were like really high, and I was just talking to them because they're also a queer person. And the person next to me that I was not talking to, and I've known him for about 2 years now, he looked at me and he said, I just don't think that trans people should get care because it's really bad for them. And then I was like, huh? And I was just very confused because I was like, oh, why would you say that to a trans person? Turns out he didn't know I was trans. And he thought he was just saying this to someone, and he could just say that. And I was like, and I said, do you know who you're talking to?
Right.
And he's like, what do you mean do you? Just like I guess he like that was like some authority figure or something. I was like, no, I'm a trans guy.
Right.
And he was like, oh, you should educate me.
Oh.
Because suddenly I was a human being. Suddenly I wasn't just a trans person.
Right.
I was someone who he knows. I was someone who he knows, has a family. He knows, has friends, who he's eaten dinner with before.
Right. But like, what does it say to the person that
Yeah.
he doesn't know, that he sees walking down the street? Like, you're not going to treat them like a human being.
Exactly.
You're not going to treat them like a person.
And I told him, I was like, hey dude, see, I'm a human, I'm a person, and I will educate you. I'd love to do that. But we need to understand that this is probably not the first time he's done this to somebody.
Right.
Because there's so many trans people that go stealth and no one knows. And get in spaces where things like slurs and things are just thrown around.
Right.
And no one knows. And it sucks. And I'm like, wow. And it just kind of just puts a lot into perspective because, as I said, I kind of live in like a little bubble, especially like at the theater department,
Right.
where it's like, I don't experience that a lot. But then I go out into places like student government, things like that, where there's people with all kinds of political views that are just casual with it. And it's so strange to me.
And like, it's something that like people expect you to be prepared for. And I feel it's also like within both the Black and queer community, like I'm expected to kind of like lock into comments like that. Like I'm expected to be able to like defend myself when sometimes you can't really defend yourself in like moments of like, oh, like that's a surprise. Like I didn't know you were gonna say that. Like that's crazy. Like okay, like and like I'm not gonna lie, it's tiring. I don't want to defend myself all the time. I don't want to have to stand up for myself 24/7. Like I should be like thriving and not surviving. Right, exactly. And so I think that brings me right into my next question. I was just like, how should we be addressing racist and dehumanizing language in the classroom and like with the like educating people around us? And to answer this question just bluntly, like we should be preaching on how to say certain things, like how to go about addressing certain communities and how we go about addressing people. Like I don't think it's hard to educate a classroom of kids. I don't think it's hard to educate a classroom of people, especially college students as us.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be able to say these things. Like there are certain, like I don't know if I'm making sense, but like just like yeah.
Because hate is taught.
Right.
It's not something that you're born with innately. It comes from your environment and the people around you. So I think, like in the classroom specifically, like getting in there and sort of just like nipping it in the bud would be like effective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, education is important. It's what you need to do. And the thing is like one thing that like kind of harking back to that guy who was like educate me, he was like, well, I'm only like this because my family was like this. And I think, and I'm like, well, my family was like that growing up.
Same.
But I think genuinely the only reason why I'm not like that is because I'm queer. And it's a scary thought to think if I wouldn't have found out that I was queer, I might be just as bad as some of these other people because simply I was taught to do that and I had to go out and find these resources on my own. And I think if they're just given and taught and no one has to go dig for them, because genuinely it does have to be with people just are not educated on people of color and queer people like they should be. And what language is okay to say and what is not okay to say. And I guess when you're in this kind of like realm, in this space, you think it should be common sense to not say a slur, but for some people, their family just call queer people that. They just call people of color that.
It's normal.
And it's insane to me, but that's just how some people are raised, and they just genuinely think, oh, that's what I call them.
And like that to me is a choice. And that to me, and like that's when I say like, oh, you choose that way. You choose to hate, you choose to feel inclined to call me slurs, you choose to feel inclined to be racist. Like you choose to not be open-minded to other people around you, and that's how I feel about that. Like it's a choice. Like nobody is forcing you to hate on Black people, no one's forcing you to hate on other people of color, no one forces you to hate on queer people. Like no one has told you to walk out and like call me an slur. Like you choose to behave that way, and it is baffling actually in a way. It actually is crazy to me actually.
Yeah, because like this morning when I was getting my waffles, like I know it's annoying. I used both the waffle machines at the same time because I just had to have 2 waffles. I'm sorry, I was hungry. But it's either let's keep that in our heads, let's talk about it at our table, or let's just not say a slur.
Yeah. Right.
Let's just say anything else but a slur, please. And I guess it's just strange to me because I just don't know exactly why people feel like the need to throw slurs around just like Halloween candy. I don't know why it's needed because it's really not.
Yeah.
The human language is so complex and big. Use a different word.
Real.
You are a college student. You should be educated, I hope,
Because really,
enough to use another word because they're at this point in time that social media is so, broadly used. It's not like it used to be where these things just weren't common knowledge between now it's common. You know it's a slur.
Right.
yeah.
It's
Like
we live,
it's almost 2025 and it's
Yeah.
It's October 3rd. Oh, am I allowed to say that? It's October 13th of 2024, almost 2025. Are we still throwing around the N-word and you are not of this color? That's baffling. That's
wild.
absolutely, and it's honestly like not only about it's just embarrassing. It's just really embarrassing, and it's embarrassing not for me, baby. It's embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for the racist individual out there because like, you're only one in one. Baby, you're only one in one. Like nobody else is jumping in that boat, but like you're the only one rocking that mother. Oh, excuse me. Cut. Okay. Guys, can you take a deep breath? And action! Back to what you're saying.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. I need to thank you so much. And action! Okay, what were we saying? You were gonna say something?
Because truly, like that mindset and that belief comes from either a place of ignorance or a place of hate or both. So, like you were saying, it's embarrassing. Like, do better. You have the resources. Like, it might be in our location limited, but it's still there. Take the opportunity. Take the ability to learn. Because that's a privilege to grow.
Absolutely.
Yes, and the thing is like, for one, Google is free. There are so many places that you could go online and see actual queer and people of color talk about these issues in video format. So it shouldn't be that difficult, but then also the likelihood of people having people of color or queer people just in their lives that they can talk to is so common that, and most of us are willing to tell you, hey, yeah, it's okay to say that or it's not okay to say that.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I had a family member who was referring to me as the F slur casually, and I was like, hey, we don't do that. They're like, oh, well, when I was growing up, we did that. Is there a better word now? And I was like, yes. And then they genuinely stopped using that word, and they started using queer people, because back then queer was a slur. And so they're like, well, you call yourself queer? And I'm like, no, it's not a slur anymore.
Right.
And they genuinely changed it. It's not difficult to do that. You just have to be willing to actually change.
Right, and there's a difference between comfortability and there's a difference between somebody who's learning and growing.
Yeah.
And I think people who would rather sit comfortable, and I think people who would rather be like, oh, like, I don't have to learn anything new, like, I don't need to do that, like, that's so Gen Z, and or that's so liberal, I don't need to do that. Like, those are the people, again, who are refusing to be open-minded, and those are the people who are refusing to change.
Yeah, and I don't think that like respecting other people should be a political ideology. It's just respect people.
Right.
I don't care who you vote for or anything. Just respect people. It's just common human decency and common respect. And pretty much most people that are queer are going to do that to other people because I know people of all different, like, religions, for instance. I'm not going to be mean to them just because I don't have the same beliefs as them.
Right.
So just because I, choose to love someone differently than you, or I express my gender differently than you, does not mean that you can just walk in and just disrespect like that. Because I would disrespect you in the ways that I could disrespect you hypothetically. Because just be nice.
Right.
Just be kind. It's so easy. It's
Absolutely.
so simple. And I feel like, I feel like, in my personal opinion, kindness is natural and hate is taught. Because humans just fundamentally are just born to care and nurture for each other as a species.
Absolutely.
And it's just so hurtful to see that just simply isn't as common as you think it should be, especially kind of just now in this day and age when you feel like we should be a lot further than we are.
Right.
Just looking back in the past of what things have happened, what people have paved the way to do in the past 100 years, and just seeing that we really haven't come as far as you think that we should have.
Right.
And it sucks, it does. And I really do think that things like derogatory language, things like that should be more talked about. Not so, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about gay people. We don't talk about people of color. We don't talk about that because they're gonna get mad. We're not gonna get mad.
Right.
We're not.
Right.
I'm not gonna get mad because you wanna, explain what a trans person is. I'm gonna be more happy with you than anything.
And that's funny you say talk, because that brings me into my next question, and that is, why do we feel that this topic is important to talk about, whether it be in the theater industry, college campus, and or society? It's just not talked about. It's not talked about enough. And when it is talked about, and you just said it, like, there's this negative connotation when it comes to racial slurs and derogatory language, because people get so defensive and people get so like uncomfortable, and they're like, oh, like, I don't want to talk about that, like, we don't need to talk about being racist and or being derogatory because like that's just the extreme. Like, people just take it to the extreme, but in actuality it's just like it hasn't been talked about. And I think that it should be implemented within like it being brought to the classroom and talked to kids and even us again. Like, we should be talking about what is allowed to be said and what shouldn't be said, because we are still having issues with it today. Would you like to have do you have anything to add?
Well, I think it's like specifically in the theater industry, what we do in like the field that we're in, there's just no place for it. Like, it's to uplift people, not to bring them down.
And just inherently that language is used, to bring people down. Which now there is in different spaces words have been reclaimed by the community, but I think that gets warped and twisted with people that are not in the community, thinking, oh, so it's okay to say because y'all are comfortable saying it, so I should
be able to say it. Like,
and it's like, no, you could not.
Or like, oh, he said it in a song, so that means
I can
say it. Like, he's giving me permission.
No, that person is allowed to say that and is in that community and is in that space that reclaimed that word.
Right, absolutely.
So they are allowed to say it.
Right.
You are not.
Right. Like, we're not throwing the N word around. Like, we're throwing the word. Yeah. Can you bleep that? Can you get that? Can you bleep that? Because I said it and then I was like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, Ray Bob. No, but yeah, we shouldn't be throwing the word around. TF? Yeah. Sorry. The frick? Like, I just don't understand. Like, I feel as if, like, our generation and, like, everyone else, like, that comes behind it and with it, like, they just think that, like, because they outsmart it, like, that it's allowed, or because, like, they swindle around it and they like say it in a song quickly and or like say educational terms just to like piss you off or other things, like they think that like they are doing like God's work. And I think the problem with that is like, again, like, because it's not being talked about, it's just like people get so comfortable when people think it's allowed and people think it's okay to say, and it's not at all. My message for America: stop saying shit you're not supposed to say. Yeah, zoom in up on that. Yeah, Ray Barber's zooming up on that, and then have some war sounds going in the back. Yeah,
Balding screen.
Stop saying racial slurs and derogatory language, and you people out there in America know who you are. Thank you so much. Yes.
I think especially for the people in this generation, and more so people in the industry and that are friends with POCs and queer people, it's embarrassing more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, you're around these people that have told you multiple times, don't say that.
Right.
It's not allowed, and you want to do it still. It's embarrassing more than anything.
Or I think one of the things that upsets me the most is like, oh, I have gay friends. I have black friends.
My gay friend lets me see that all the time.
I have a pass. No, you do not.
No.
What pass?
There's no pass.
There's passes?
Can I
We're
see
just
that?
giving them
I want
out?
to see that documentation.
We can make money off of that.
Right, like, I could have just started a business a long time ago if I knew we were just giving these out. Like, it would have been dealt with absolutely if I was put in on the trend, absolutely. But, there is no trend because I haven't started a damn thing. No, I haven't done it. No.
Like, no. it's just so frustrating. And I'm like, hey, maybe you could do it around that one specific friend, but maybe like don't.
Hey, like I don't need to hear
the
that.
entire population of the
Exactly.
world.
Like,
Because not everyone is your friend, and not everyone is like, hey, just like today, I didn't know these people, and they threw in a slur in between calling me other things that people like stupid and idiot, you know, big back, you know, that you just, you know, just crazy. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, big dog. Hello.
Big dog.
Just casually, it was just like I was, oh, I had to do a double take, and I was like, did this just happen? Because I don't know how people can be so deeply comfortable with being so incredibly
rude
and
disgusting.
hateful.
And trust, and if I was the person to get a second fucking waffle, trust, bitch, you're waiting. Your ass is waiting for my bitch, and I might as well get a third. Well, I'm at. Yeah.
Guys, I was hungry.
Sorry, cut that out.
A lot of bleeps this episode.
Bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah, it's just insane to me because as I said, I think most people are capable of being nice. Unfortunately, that's not true, especially around here. Because you know, being in like the theater world, we're all in this little like bubble of like acceptance and you know, personal expression, and then you go out into the world and it's like, no, you can't do that actually, and it's like, oh, I didn't know we weren't chill. I didn't know we weren't chill here. I'm sorry, and it's a lot of just having to. A lot of times I've also noticed it's a lot of times people just trying to like fit in, and because it's cool to say slurs to minorities for some reason. I don't know why.
I didn't get that
Me
memo.
neither. Like I'm cool, and I don't say racial slurs or derogatory
I've just
language.
noticed a lot of like people that are just very, you know, they're like, oh well, I can't, whatever. It's just a word. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Because if
It's just a word.
if that's all it is to you, then why do you want to say it?
Right.
Yeah,
If that is
it's
all that
just
is-
a word.
Yeah.
Then how come if, let's say I called your mom something very hurtful, it would offend you,
Right.
correct? It's not a word then.
Right.
It's a word if it's to someone else, but if it's to you, it's not just a word. It means something.
If it's a word, then why does it hurt so much? when you
because
say it?
words mean things.
They do.
Genuinely, and they can be extremely hurtful because there's connotation behind everything. Just like in, you know, I've noticed in a lot of queer spaces, it's pretty common to refer to each other with the F slur, but that's because we're in a space that's okay. I don't feel like that needs to leave that space.
Yeah.
But then when I go out and I get waffles in the morning, I don't need to be hearing it from people I don't know, and that I don't know if they're gay or not, and they can say they have the pass to say it. Like I don't know, and also don't say that to me if you don't know who I am.
But like, and that's literally exactly what that is. Like, I don't know who you
I don't know who you are.
Like some things that we Americans are allowed to like not hear. Like some things we don't even have to say, and I still wake up every day and I'm just like, like why do people just say things that are unwarranted? Like why do people just think that that is okay? Like I just will never ever get, and I don't know like.
It genuinely comes from this place of, since they don't know who you are, they don't see you as a human being or a person, and so suddenly you're just this individual that's walking around in the world that means nothing to them, and so suddenly they can just say whatever they want because, oh, I don't know them, I don't know who they are, but it's like, but that is a human, that is a person, that person has a mom, that person has a dad, that person was a baby once, that person has a favorite color, that person has a pet maybe, and it's like these little things that we do as people that can connect us, but no one thinks about these things, no one considers them because they're more hung up on, oh, that's it, that person likes to, likes to have gay sex. Okay, it doesn't matter to you. It's like, oh, that person's born with a skin tone that I don't have. I don't like that.
Like that's just
And it's
crazy.
whoa,
like that's just crazy. It's
like,
just
guys.
insane. Like I came out of my mom's poo swatch, baby. You came out of your mama's poo swatch, baby. Our moms both produced the same stuff that I came out of my mom's poo swatch with. Like we are literally all born equal. We are all born human beings. Like I just happen to be a little. I happen to be like 10 shades darker. 10 shades. It's not even that much off. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's just nuts. It's just, as I said, it's just from this place of, they find it, like they can just, they're like, I can use this word on this person and it makes them less of a person, and that's cool. And I like that because I don't like what they do and I don't like what they are. And this makes me feel better about myself.
Right.
And because most people, because like I grew up in a very, very conservative, like small town where this was just, it was just common. Like we were like known as like a sundown town where, you know, like all the people of color like lived in a certain part of the town and that was just okay. That was just normal. And, you know, growing up, I was like, I started being educated and seeing more things. And I was like, this is not okay. This is not cool. And then, you know, as I started getting older and I started figuring out that I was queer, you know, I had, you know, people that would like come up to me and they're like, oh, well, you're not like those other transgender people. And it's like, it's because you haven't talked to a single other transgender person and the only knowledge that you have is Fox News.
That's tea.
Yeah.
That is tea.
And-
Fox News, baby, you've been read.
I know you're watching.
Right, just now, baby, you've been read.
And it's just crazy to me because of like, no, I'm actually like a lot of other trans people because we're all just people. And then they're like, but no, you're different. You're different. And it's like, no, you just know who I am.
Right.
No, you just know who my mom is. Like, you know, like, it's like, that's just, no, it's not.
Right.
Or it's just crazy to me because, as you said, it's just this whole thing where they forget that people that are different from them are human beings. And they see us more akin to things like, because obviously how humans are with like animals is they see animals and are like, oh, that's not human. Humans are not animals. When fundamentally, yes, we are. But, you know, that's not how most people see it. They look at other people that are different from them and suddenly they're another species. Suddenly they're simply not human anymore. They are...
Like suddenly they're like, oh, they're outlandish. Like,
Yeah, that thing.
before. Like, I've never seen you do that before. And then it just leads them to, then it just adds on the wanting to be like, oh, you're this. Like, then we have racial slurs and then derogatory language. Just like, they feel so inclined because they can't control their feelings. And I think it's not necessarily more of a feeling thing. I just feel as if like, it's kind of like a bully, like you're insecure. Like, because like you fit in, because like you decide to put yourself in that like, little contained box, and like someone who has like, as myself, like I don't do that. Like I'm thinking outside of the box, like, and people who don't do that, and that is like something that they find weird and gross and outlandish, and it's just so messed up, crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I
agree.
Yes, thumbs up.
Yes. Cut. That was a bit, sorry.
No.
I was like, what are we cutting?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
Connection.
And no, it's just like, it's kind of like I saw this video of this guy talking this morning, I think, where he was talking about just, you know, how, you know, a lot of homophobic people are like, well, I don't want to know what you do in the bedroom. But that's not all that it is. That's not all that a queer relationship is. It's what is done, you know, at the carnival with your partner. It's what's done in the kitchen when you're cooking together. It's what's done when you take your kids to school. It's not just that. It's just that you are so deeply caught up on the fact that these people don't love like you do, that it's like the other. Humans are just, since like the dawn of time, have always just been with the other. And they're like, if you don't look like me, if you don't sound like me, if you don't love like I do, if you don't do these things exactly how I do it, you're suddenly not human, and I will make up language that I can use to refer to you as something because I don't want to be able to call you a human being, and it's so much better if I can just call you a slur, because suddenly, oh, you're not a person, that's just a slur. And it's just so fascinating to me in the most awful way possible that this is just something that is so deeply common, because there's not just slurs for people who are queer or people that are people of color. There's people that are not as able-bodied as other people. There are people that are just, they just look different or they sound different. And that's just, and a lot of that language is common. Like, for instance, for people that are in the little people community, there's the M slur. And that's just a common slur that most people don't know is a derogatory slur.
Yeah.
But they use it anyway because they're like, oh, well, they're just like a different kind of person. Or, you know, people who have autism, like myself, the R slur, where they're just like, no, that's just what they are. They're just a little bit different.
Or like
they're special.
The N word.
Yeah,
Or
or just any of these words where it's like, oh, they're just different. It's like, no.
like that's, I don't like, even like when a teacher's like, because even in high school, I had it a lot where a teacher was like, oh, like the African American, or the black one, or the black one who sits in the corner. Like, no, like, my name's Britt, thank you so much, though, like, really appreciate it. Like, it's just more of just so, like, it is only said to hurt, and they're only saying it to hurt, like, to, like, get at me, because, like, my skin color makes you upset, therefore, you are derogatory, and you call me a racial slur. And to kind of conclude racial slurs and derogatory language with our last question, and it is, it is, what can we do as a department to make words I'm gonna redo that. I'm gonna redo that. Hey, cut, and action! What can we do as a department to make sure that racial slurs and derogatory language isn't used? I think we should be teaching it in class, and I think that our professors, and I think that even professors that are a part of like spectrum groups and other organizations that they help out with, I think we should be speaking out on like, these words shouldn't be used in class, these words shouldn't be said, racial slurs shouldn't be used in class ever, and just like you said earlier, like even within the world of theater, just there's no place for it. This is an art form that we use to spread love and spread joy, and being derogatory and using derogatory language and being racist and using racial slurs doesn't open the community up. It only closes your community, it only excludes, and it only keeps people from wanting to be part of something that's truly actually really magical. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think, frankly, I think there should be more repercussions for it, because at your grown age, in this generation, you can only be told so much, hey, don't say that, hey, this isn't okay. At that point, like, you're gonna have to learn one way or the other. So I think just like telling them like, hey, don't do that, in today's age and in this field especially, is not gonna cut it. Because I don't want people that use derogatory language, like, you know, probably to be like teaching kids.
Right.
Yeah. Like, because again, hate is taught. So if they're saying this stuff now, what's gonna happen in 5 years?
Exactly.
Either on Broadway or teaching at like a high school.
Right, like people who do intentionally do that, and people who do intentionally hurt other people with racial slurs and derogatory language, they shouldn't be leaders. You are not leading anybody with like hate. You don't lead with hate. I think you lead with love, and I think that again, like you even just like again, like hate is not taught. I think hate is taught.
There we go.
Sorry. Cut! Wait, hate is taught?
Yes.
And like cut! Let's take a deep breath. Hate is taught. Here we go. Hate is taught.
It is.
This.
Period.
Well, yes.
Also, like being like an education major myself, that I'm going to be educating in the future, I don't think it needs to be this thing where it's like, don't teach my kids that liberal. Teach kids not to say bad things.
Yeah.
Like if you're reading like To Kill a Mockingbird and that word pops up, be like, use it as a teaching moment and say, hey,
let's not say that.
This is not a good word. This was written during a different time, but we do not say that now.
Right, like it's more embarrassing to have your child go to school and say those things and having to like get called up like, hey, like he said the N-word, like she said the N-word, she said something like not appropriate, really racist or whatever. That's embarrassing for me as a parent to have to come to school and be like, is that what you're teaching your child? Is that what we want to teach the other children? Is that what we want besties and his or her besties to learn how to say? Like, is that what we're teaching? Like, again, like that, like, thank you.
It just should start earlier than a lot of people think. It shouldn't be like, let's wait till they're older. It's like, it's not hard to just teach kids, hey, so there's people that look this way, and sometimes they're called these words. We don't use that word because they are also people, but if you hear someone else saying that word, tell them to stop.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you are in that group or not. If you hear someone saying something that they clearly should not be saying,
Then say something.
then say, hey, so this isn't okay.
Right,
you know, it could be a place of ignorance, or they could just legitimately just be being hateful.
Right.
But either way, it needs to be said, hey, don't do that.
You're only doing yourself and the community that you either represent or you stand for a disservice when you don't say something.
Yeah.
And I think personally that you brought it up, like, as adults, we should learn that maybe things shouldn't be said and maybe we should just shut our mouths. But, and I think that because it's not necessarily taught and because, you know, like, society now, like, I feel that we have to stay locked in, and because we think we have to stay locked in, they assume that, like, we know not to say these words, we know not to act a certain way. And so I just think that we shouldn't be getting comfortable with words that we shouldn't use. And yeah. Sorry.
Well, yes.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to add up on this topic, guys?
No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Anyways, guys, that concludes this episode of The Dip, racial slurs and derogatory language. Guys, please. Guys, please. Can we get excited? Can we
Don't say that word
Don't use those slurs.
again.
Or you'll get hit. Maybe they'll send a Britney to your house. They'll send a Britney to your home and I will handle it and it'll be dealt with absolutely. So just don't say it. So just don't say it. And that concludes the episode of The Dip.
Be dipping. It's our outro.
Dip.
The dip.
Oh, we should eat chips and dip. Dip. I am really hungry.
What kind of
Dip. Oh, like, you know, like a good Lay's. Like
Like a
wavy-
good-
like a good wave. Oh, a spinach artichoke, but like a good
Yes.
wavy Lay's. And
That'd
like
be the next
a
discussion.
sour cream and onion.
That'd be the next discussion.
Like what kind
The
of
entire time we just talked about chips and dip.
Just rating dips.
rating dips? Remember, that's kind of good.
Rating dips for the
Rating
dip.
dips for the dip.
That'll be like an
It's
April
something
Fool's
good.
We
episode.
could do like where that YouTube trend that was like a thing like back in like 2010 when like they would like you put blindfolds on like guess the thing.
Guess the thing.
Guess the dip.
And it's like oh like guess the
Guess
dip
the
on the
dip
dip.
on the dip.
And it's like I think that's a red pepper
And
hummus.
take a dip. Ooh, I do it that drop. Oh. Come on, podcast season. Let's get sickening. And then cue me.
Get dipping.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. You guys
The
stay
dip
there.
thing.
Come on. Wait, what is it? Come on, OSBS. Let's get dipping.
Whenever you're ready.
I heard those knees.
I heard that was like
Yes. Yes.
It's the chiropractor.
Let me show my ass right now, please.
Yeah, crackle and pop. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Click or click? Dip.
We dip.
time to dip out.
We're gonna say it at the same time. We're the dip.
The dip.
At the same
Okay,
time. So
okay.
we're the dip.
Can you do that?
Can you say click or
Click or click, and then we respond.
Say
with
dip or deep.
Dip.
Dip or deep? Okay.
It's not gonna hear me.
Then we say dip.
Come over here.
No.
Ray Barber guest appearance.
No, I'm not
Guys,
doing
there
this
is a remover in
again.
the room with us right now. Yes.
No, I'm
Get
not
over here.
doing that.
Recessive. And
No.
then we all.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's practice. The dip. Deep or no? We're gonna scoop.
We're gonna
Dip.
scoop.
And it deep
Scoop
or
and snap?
dip or deep?
Deep.
Dip.
Dip.
Scoop and snap.
Okay, I can't stop.
Oh.
I'll take care of the snapping for all
Yeah.
of us.
I just-
Well, all of us.
That's not the thing you use for snapping.
It's the.
Your wrist is going too
Don't
high.
try to teach me.
Okay, are we ready? This is a for real cut.
For real, then that's.
We are the dip. Deep or dip? Dip. Guys, we were supposed to say dip at the same time.
Yeah, and you didn't say it.
You were supposed I said it.
And you did it also.
Oh, they.
We're rolling. We're rolling.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
We're the dip.
The dip.
Oh my
That's
god.
soundtrack.
Good, that's it. That's it.
The dip.
Guys, okay. Wait, hold on. And action. We're the
The
dip.
dip. Are we saying it on the first one or the second one?
The dip. Both.
The dip. Again.
We're the dip. Deep or dip? Dip. It's dip. It's just dip.
That's what I said.
No, you said the dip. One more time. One more fucking time. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're the dip, yes?
Yes.
And we're
The dip.
Don't get frustrated at me like that. Don't get fucking bratty at me. Who do you think you are? What's up? Really brat? Okay, I'm ready. I'm so sorry, Rick Barber. We're the dip. Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're all saying it.
We're all saying it 12 times.
Okay.
Okay, one. Guys, this is it. This is
Okay,
it.
this is the one.
We're the dip. Deep or dip? Dip. Oh, baby, that was terrible.
8.
Thank you so much. Count your days.